Welcome to Adulting in the Modern World with Donna and Sahar, a podcast dedicated to help women catalyze their own transformation and engage in their own evolution in a conscious way. Two transformational coaches share tools, processes, practices, and wisdom to support you in designing your life in a fun, joy-filled, and abundant way. This is for the woman who is invested in her growth in an intentional way. This is for the woman who takes responsibility for her emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, and financial wellness. This is for the woman who honors the value of wisdom and growth in community. Welcome to Adulting in the Modern World. Let's begin by taking 3 deep breaths. We're going to take these 3 breaths together every time we meet on this podcast. Take a deep breath in and breathe to connect to the cosmos. Hold the breath and gently exhale. Take another deep breath in. Hold the breath, connecting now to your heart. And gently exhale. And take one more deep breath in. Hold the breath and connect to the earth. Gently exhale.
Hi, and welcome everybody to Adulting in the Modern World. This is our first podcast session. My name is Sahar, and I'm here with Donna. And we're very excited to be sharing this podcast with you all. And we're excited to share about why we've decided to have this podcast. A lot of people have been saying that 2021 is going to be a very interesting year. People have been waiting for this December 21st great conjunction, and 2020 has been a wild year for sure for everybody on a global level. So we're all thinking about questions of who are we becoming at this time as an individual and also as a planet. And now we're even considering it on a cosmic level. And so Donna and I have thought about what we need as support for ourselves to be able to find our way through in the modern world as adults at this time. What is the knowledge that we need? What are the tools, the practices, and processes that we need in order to be able to design a life that feels good, that feels at the vibration of love or above? Those really are the vibrations that allow us to feel health, wealth, wellness, and that is what we're interested in exploring in 2021 and beyond. And we thought, what a great way to call community to sit together once a week, whether it's in your car or you're having a coffee or you're cooking something or you're making a piece of art or you're thinking about your own plans and you're looking for wisdom nuggets to enrich yourself for that day. This is that for those who are seeking personal growth in an intentional way, for the woman who is looking to be well on all levels, and the one who honors community and knows that she travels in a pack of like-minded women. So welcome everybody. We're very excited to share about why we've decided to launch this. That was a little bit of a blurb and snip of it. I'm going to pass it over to Donna to share a little bit about her why. We really believe in this concept of the golden circle by Simon Sinek about, starting from a place of why when you're creating anything, and then going to the what and the how. So Donna, what's your why for doing this podcast?
Well, thanks, Sahar. A big part of my why is creating and co-creating in community. I think in communities, we build each other up, we help to prop one another up, and we help each other fly and transform. And that's a lot of, who we are as transformational coaches. It's about creating with one another in all of the spheres of our life. So, looking at emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, and financial wellness, and keeping all of those spheres, all of those sections in check and in balance and in fulfillment. I want to touch on that too. We talk about being joy filled and fun and creative and abundant. So it's so important to look at all of these aspects of our lives, and they might not all be functioning 100% at the same time, and yet we focus on the wellness and the functioning of these areas.
Absolutely. And I just also want to say that the woman who's invested in her evolution is the woman who acknowledges the past and who also does the healing work. And so we are two women that acknowledge our lineage, and we know we're traveling in this quote unquote modern world, which means that there are things that are now happening that our parents didn't have the wisdom and knowledge of in the same context, because they grew up in their own time and they had their own challenges and their own wisdom and their own things that they needed, and they passed down a lot to us. But as adults, we really acknowledge that you have to first address your primary patterning, and then you co-create your conscious secondary patterning, which is, for those of you who are interested in neuroscience, or interested in the conscious mind or psychology, we're going to touch on all of these things throughout this year. We have an amazing curriculum planned. I'm a senior instructional designer at a career college in Ontario that's one of the biggest, and it's also in other provinces in Canada. And so I work on program development, and I think a lot about, where's the direction of learning going? Where's the direction of education? And where's the direction of labor in the market, basically? Because I work for a career college, which is thinking about labor in the market, thinking about supply and demand. So for those of you that are listening in on these podcasts, I'm sure you're thinking about those questions for yourself. And you're thinking about, what's the direction of the world going into? If you're anybody that's invested in being successful and obviously defining that in your own way, it means you have a lifelong learning as part of your agenda for 2021. So, and for life and beyond, right? Because the shelf life of knowledge is actually apparently shortening. And so why that matters is that you're constantly having to be in a state of transformation. And so that is a competency, it's a skill set, it's really beautiful and brilliant. So we're very excited to be pouring so much goodness and knowledge and wisdom and practices that we use in our own lives to help us up level, to help us evolve, to help us transform, to be bringing it here and sharing it with you all. And Donna, can you share a little bit about our multimodal practices and approaches, even though it is a podcast format? Like, what does that mean?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just looking at our title that we've chosen for this podcast, Adulting in the Modern World, what does that even mean? And why look at adulting? And I feel, and you and I both feel, that emerging as an adult is somebody, as you touched on before, is somebody that honors their past, that honors their growth and transition and processes. And so, what are these processes? We're looking at all of the major aspects of our lives. So, we're looking at the emotional component. How do I deal with my emotions? How do I manage them? What are some actual practical tools? And we'll be sharing tools here in terms of breathing, meditation, visualizing, focusing. You talked about, career. How does this apply into the workforce? Well, I need to focus. I need to be able to concentrate. Sometimes I need a very one directional, one pointed mind in order to be more productive at work and have a better output. So we'll look at that, and that does connect mental and emotional. We'll look at the physical aspect of our body. So how to be in physical fitness, but also, things like biohacking tips and tools into growing younger, growing with more vitality, growing with more energy. We'll look at the spiritual self, with which, any entrepreneur, any business woman, she needs a very healthy and abundant spiritual life. Why? Because that's going to feed into her soul self and also all the relationships within her life. And the woman that's being attracted to this podcast, she's very likely already financially stable or well off, or she's able to really call in good financial abundance. But we're going to look at that area too, because that's a constant stream of energy. Money is energy, so we'll be looking at that sphere as well. And overall health and wellness, because that looks at the entire concept of how we function as humans and taking it to an even higher level, a more a level beyond what we currently know. What do I mean by that? It's beyond even biohacking in a sense. It's harnessing the energy that we have as humans, and the energy beyond can get a little bit um, spiritual here, and we can harness energy from the universe. How do we do that? So we're going to talk about those things in terms of like the quantum physics of how to use energy and create a more abundant life, a more vital life, energetic life. So those are some of the major topics we'll be looking at. And like Sahar said, we've created a beautiful curriculum of topics every week, so be ready for something new and fresh each week. Sahar, you want to talk a little bit of designing our lives? What does that mean? How does that relate to adulting in this modern world?
So, designing your life is a really important concept for somebody who wants to consider themselves as an adult, because that means you take responsibility for your life. And so you then become aware of your subconscious and you become curious about what lives in the unconscious. And that is a journey of self actualization. Maslow's hierarchy of needs talks about once you meet your physiological needs and you feel a sense of safety and security, which correlates to your chakras, basically, right? Your root chakra. Once you feel secure a little bit and more grounded and connected, and you have your basic survival needs met, then you become curious about your emotional needs, which is then the sacral chakra. And hopefully, you travel in terms of your personal power and your heart and all of that as part of the healing. And so we do look at healing, health, personal growth, and transformation from all those holistic models, because that's what they are. They're models and tools to guide us into looking at something in a certain way. So what we really strongly believe is looking at the constructs that are in your subconscious, like your subconscious programming, basically the stories that were the primary patterns, because the ages 0 to 7 is a time when we built our subconscious mind, basically, and we absorb a lot of things through the subconscious, because you're not speaking necessarily, but you're connecting to the world and you're trying to understand it, and you're learning it through your family system. You're learning it through those primary relationships. And so our sense of self gets defined by the other at the beginning. In a lot of ways, we need people to put up mirrors for ourselves to show us who we are. But when you become an adult, you want to take the reins of that for yourself. You want to be a sovereign being that says, I self-define my life. And the reason for that is because you recognize your personal power as an adult, and you recognize that you want to come from a place of self-love. And so you may have come from environments that didn't provide that for you, and as an adult now, you may have secured your root chakra needs, you may have secured your physical needs and your immediate needs, but you're wanting to heal on an emotional level. And that means redefining who you conceive yourself as and redefining your narrative. Because if it's rooted, for example, in unworthiness, or if it's rooted in low self-esteem, or anything that's not love, basically, you're going to be in a constant battle, and you're going to be, with others and with yourself. And so for us, we feel like the woman that we're speaking to is a woman that's desiring peace, she's desiring joy, she's desiring love, she's desiring abundance. And so, how do we turn our compass in that direction and become that and live that and be that? And so, we're going to be sharing practical tools. We're going to be showing up on a weekly basis so that, we're right there on the journey, sharing with you all and sharing with one another and moving through as a wolf pack, because it takes intention, it takes consciousness, it takes resources, and it takes showing up, and it takes community. So, Donna, do you have any last words to say as we wrap up this first podcast?
I'm excited. I am so excited for this journey with you all. I know Sahar is too. This podcast has been a little while in the making in terms of the background work and the back end work, and we are really excited to be launching this with you and launching right now at this time. Goosebumps, Sahar. Launching right now as Sahar started off, at the beginning of this podcast, sharing that it's a really potent and transformative, there's that word again, transformation, time right now in the cosmos. We're transitioning. Major goosebumps. We're transitioning from 2020 to 2021. I know everyone is so ready to say goodbye to 2020. And at the same time, so much learning has gone on. And I feel like, the chrysalis of the butterfly has formed and it's so ready now to just crack, and she's ready to spread her wings. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to spread the wings and fly together during this next year and beyond. So, we're going to come to you every week with something fresh, with something new. And as we already touched on, actual practical tools, tips, and processes that you can use, that we use to take us ahead in life. So I look forward to seeing you every Thursday. Sahar does too. And we're signing off episode 1.